Hello, my name is Louis. Today I'm going to show you how to make a camera obscura at home. So essentially a camera obscura is a black box that has a little hole that allows some light to come in, but also to project the outside world within the black box, so you get an image out from it. And that's the basic theory of how all cameras is being constructed. Today, with the camera obscura, you can create that by basically making a space or a box completely light type. So today what we're going to do is we're going to turn this room into a light type black box, and I'm just going to have a little hole that lets some lights in, and then you can see the outside world inside the room. So you can cover the room with whatever material that you can come across with. So you can use black cloth, you can use cardboard boxes. But today what I'm going to be using is I'm going to use this black plastic, and it's a pretty good and cheap black plastic. You can get them from Bunnings. Yeah, and then other things that you may need is some tape, and so here I have some duct tape. I prefer duct tape over gaffer tape. It's easier to stick on, and it doesn't rip off the paint as easily. Plus, it's just a really easy tape to work with because it stretches as well. But one thing to note is that it does leave some sticky residue onto your door frame or your window frame. So just take note of that. Other things that we will be using is a tape measure, some scissors, and also just a pencil just to take note of the dimensions of what you're covering. Yeah, so that's all the things that you need really. So we can start with measuring just the window frame, and then what I like to do is I like to cut the plastic just right to the size. That way it's easier just to put it right on rather than just cutting bits and pieces and sticking it up, but you can also do that. There's no problem with that. Yeah, so let's start. Okay, so I'm gonna just measure the window of the room. And in this process, you don't necessarily have to measure it precise, but just be wary that having a little bit extra, just so that you can completely cover the window, that will be best. Same with cutting it. Again, just when you're cutting the plastic, just be wary that you're cutting extra rather than cutting it less, because when you cut it less, you obviously have to cut small pieces to stick it back on, which can be a bit annoying. Now I'm just gonna cover the plastic over the window, and before I do that I just put 2 tabs of tape on the top of the plastic so that it can just stick on the window and hang by itself. And also just check which side of the window has a grill, so that you don't put the hole on the side where there's a grill, which can affect the image of your camera obscura. The taping is also very straightforward because duct tape is stretchable, so it can be molded quite easily and nicely, and it's also black, and so no light can leak through it. It's important to note that try not to use masking tape or just cellophane tape, because even though if you stick it on, there might still be some light leak that leaks through on the edges, which can affect the image quality within your camera obscura. Alright, so that's basically covered. Luckily, so if you have more than one window in your room, obviously you have to cover all of them. But because I've only got one in this room, and then I've got a door which I can just shut it, and because there's not much light coming from the corridor, that will be fine. I'm just going to move this back in. And so after you can cut the hole beforehand, or you can also cut the hole afterwards. But doesn't really matter too much. You can cut multiple holes and cover it up with tape and so on. But here I'm just going to do this. This is a relatively easy way to do it. And I think the hole can be roughly about a 10-cent coin. You can do it smaller if you like, but the smaller it gets, the darker the room will get, and so it will take a bit longer for your eyes to adjust. The bigger the hole, the more blurry the image might get. So just to take note of that. So it depends on how you want the image to look. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. The hole can be any size or shape you like if you want. Here I'm just very impromptu cut of a hole. And don't be afraid, because if you did stuff up with the hole, you can always use some tape and cover them up again. Alright, so I've got a hole in here. And then I've got my camera obscura, so let's just turn the light off and we'll have a look and see how it looks. Alright, so I've got my obscura ready to go, and I'm just going to turn off the light now and we can hopefully see something in here. Whoa, that's pretty cool. So it's always a surprise when you turn off the light, and I've set up Obscura in this room multiple times, and at different times of the day you come in, it has a different effect. So here, this is actually quite clear with what we can see. So that's the building, that's our neighboring apartment block, and it can be quite confusing at first when you haven't been in the camera obscura before, because everything is flipped upside down. So what we're seeing here is that this is the sky, and this is the sky, and that's actually my my roof from the lower floor. And it's a garden which you can kind of pick up a little hint of the garden. That's my laundry there drying actually. And that's another roof, and then let's see on the other side. What else do we have here? Yeah, so this is my neighboring apartment block again, but this one here, it's diagonal opposite. And yeah, so this is what you get when you're in a camera obscura. It's a pretty meditative space to be in. The smell might get you a little bit, but other than that, it's a pretty meditative experience to be inside an obscura, I think. So yeah, if you're after something to do, or if you're trying to procrastinate over working from home, this can be a project that you can try out. If you have kids, I'm sure the kids would love it. I've built a camera obscura in the Queensland Children's Hospital once, at the school actually I should say, and we converted a classroom into an obscura, and that blows the kids' mind out. And they didn't want to leave. A lot of them were in there for at least half an hour and trying to figure out what's happening inside that space. This is a live projection, so if you have a street that has a lot of cars passing by, and if you built a camera obscura facing that, then you would get to see a whole lot of cars driving by those spaces as well. Yeah, so this is one camera obscura that we just built. So here, this is another camera obscura that I built earlier on, and this is in my bedroom. Let's just see what it looks like in here. So I'm going to turn the light off, and you still see that little hole that's letting all the light in. And there you go, these are my neighbors. And on top here, right up here towards the ceiling, you can see there's a car from my neighbor. I'll try my paper trick and see if that works. So these are my neighbors, and see the car that's projected on the ceiling. And as I move further back, that's how it kind of goes through it. Here are some photos that I thought I would show as well, to show what the camera can see. So in this case, what I did was that I've put my camera on a tripod, and then I use a long exposure to get these images. And the camera can always see more than what our eyes can see, and so this is one option that you can play with, or you can also create some stop motions, which can be quite fun to play with as well. So just on top of experiencing it in person, here are some other creative processes that you can play with. Thanks for tuning in to see this how-to video guide. I hope this encouraged you to make a camera obscura at home, and hopefully experiencing the outside world inside, and making your day just a little bit easier in this difficult time. And I really hope you guys stay healthy. Oh, and one last thing, I've created an Instagram account sharing people's outcome of their camera obscura while they're in isolation. If you would like to share your images, please tag ISO_obscura on Instagram, and I will share your outcome too. Thank you.